let us take a look at the charts and see what we're seeing. So we couldn't have entered at a worse time. So we entered our last trade right here where this, this was, what we saw was this area, and we talked about this, there was an area of resistance here, and it actually operated as an area of resistance. You saw a bounce off of it, but as so often happens is sometimes it's the bounce sticks and sometimes it doesn't. And here we did is, we punched right through it. It's been an area where, there's been some buyer and seller, kind of equilibrium in the market. So, I don't know how that's all going to shape up. Of course, we don't. There is a similar area. Let me draw this for you. I think this is a kind of a similar area that there's this area right here, and then let me just draw it and then I'll show you what I'm seeing here. But if I look something like this, and I never look at support and resistance lines as lines, I think of them more as zones because you never nail it to the penny. But this is an area where there seemed to have been some resistance or some support, and so it worked well here, it worked well here, we touched it again and went back up, then we punched right through it similar to what we saw over here, and then it became resistance, and so you see that we touched it here, you see that we touched it again here, we punched through it again, and then it became support, and so this area, where we're at right now, it may or may not act as support, we'll see. As I mentioned last time, and I think if you've been looking at many of the trades we do, I don't trade necessarily. I certainly don't manage trades by this. I don't try to predict, is this support going to hold or is it not going to hold? Because it's, honestly, I think it's a coin flip. I mean, I haven't gone back and empirically tested it, but I know that a lot of times these things can be. What I will do sometimes, and sort of what I did last time, is I thought this is a good time to enter. But now I'm in and I have to manage the trade, and it went against me. It did the exact opposite of what I would have hoped for. I would have hoped that this area of support would have held and taken off, but no, this happened, and that happens. So we just managed the trade and it's going fine. Everything's just fine. We're going to actually, again, have to make an adjustment today, but you'll see kind of how that looks. And we did get our warning, our yellow warning signal right here. And so once we see that, then we kind of, we have to flatten our deltas or do something to adjust our position, because we know this could be coming. And sure enough, it did. We dropped from when we saw the first yellow, whenever that was here. Let me get our percentage tool here. We've dropped about maybe 4% just since we saw that. I actually didn't enter at the very end of the day. If you remember on this one, I actually entered, if you saw the recording, I entered early, like 11 a.m. I'm in Puerto Rico time, which is the same as Eastern time right now. So what happened is I had to leave that day. I was going to, Ann and I were going to be gone all afternoon. So we're probably down 5% from when I entered, I would say, something around there. But that's okay. I mean, it happens, and I don't worry about it because we have a plan. And when you have a plan, you just follow the plan and hopefully it works out. And most of the time it does. So we had this, by the way, this exact thing, you get this here. I believe it was one of these days, I don't know the exact day, but one of these days right in here was when we entered our August trade. And then we had very, very similar kind of circumstance. And as you know, we ended up with a profit. It worked out. I mean, we just had to play it out and manage the trade. So yeah, so I think, we are at an area that has acted as support and resistance a few times. There seems to be buyer-seller equilibrium to a degree. If this breaks, I think the next area is probably right in this area. Would be the next area. You can, again, you can kind of see it here. But, you know, who knows if that's going to happen or not. We may hold here or we may break through. And again, now that we're in the trade, we're just going to manage it as best we can in following our rules. Okay, well, that's what I'm seeing. I think it's really very interesting that we bounced right off the 200-day moving average, which we talked about this, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, how so often that acts as support and resistance. And we really just kissed it right there, almost to the penny. Kind of an interesting thing. In fact, let's see, the high on that day was 43.27 and the 200-day moving average was 43.23. So within $4 of, you know, nailing it exactly, which is pretty crazy on a $4,000 price tag. It was within $4.